Hey Virgo, welcome to your February monthly reading. I am using two decks for this month. I'm using Practical Magic Oracle and also Oracle of the Shapeshifters. I'm just shuffling your deck. So we have Valentine's this month, so there's often a lot of relationship kind of guidance coming through on our Februaries. So we'll have to see if that's an influence for you this month. Okay, that one. And I will just do the shapeshifters and we'll jump right in. So I'll start talking about your lunar strength, your first position, which really identifies the energy that you are in and what you're working with, and it is lunar strength. So basically this cycle is beneficial for you to work in. Let me have a look. You have things growing, but it kind of seems like you had things kind of under your sleeve, like having plans but not really telling people about them, or having ideas about where you want to be, maybe. I just feel like you have a lot of things that you're not putting out in the world at the moment. Maybe that's not the focus. But again, working with the energies of the moon may be really beneficial for you. We are in February, which means we've just had the Lunar New Year. We're in the first month of the lunar cycle. So I feel that this is insinuating that this is a really good time for you to what? To start new things, to get things in order. When we come into a new moon and into a new moon cycle, the yearly moonly cycle, whatever, we get into a place where we can start planning, organizing, again, making lists if that's what works for you, Virgo, and kind of just getting our goals in order, like prioritizing what we want and where we want to be. That kind of energy is a really good energy for you to be in, and it's like work with that. We come then to mid-month, because this is for the whole of February. We've got the full moon. What comes with the full moon? It's releasing, shedding, getting rid of the old, in with the new kind of vibe of taking action on the things that you have planned and prioritized. So I would say coming towards the end of the month, you should have things starting to roll out in terms of like baby steps in the right directions to where you want to go, setting those goals into action. Okay, so the crossing energy with this is the unyielding sadness of looking back, endless grief, endless regret, obsessive grief, replaying the past, and negative nostalgia. Now this is just a crossing energy, which I feel is more of a sensing that you may be wary, and maybe this is why you're keeping it secret, of past influences, but I feel like it's actually more than that. I feel as though there's fears and self-taught kind of ways of things being that are changing within you, and then these bringing feelings to the surface. So it feels like that's a crossing energy in the sense of it's just influencing you, but it's below the surface. So, for example, you set a plan in action, like, I want to be living with my partner this year. And I feel like this is common for a Virgo energy of being where you're at, like moving into a new space. So yeah, I want to move into a partnership, but then there's these fears of what that means. The independence is taken away. We only have one house to go to now. Or what if we don't like living together? What does that mean for our friends and family with us living together? Like, how's that going to change the dynamics? These are fears that can prevent us from doing something. But I think that this is sort of saying this is the energy behind the scenes of you to realize that it is what it is. It's just fears and not actual facts and not truth. Unless you're experiencing something, you're never going to know what the answers to those fears and questions and queries are. So again, not allowing them to influence you unless it is very blatantly, obviously, a gut instinct. It's differentiating between the two, but to me, where this is sitting, it is saying that this is just those worries that are under the surface, and to not allow them. You don't need to hide things and keep things secretive. We come into this next one is focus on friendships. To me, this means relationships too. This comes under the same dynamic. If you're not a friend with your partner, then maybe you are not really in that much of a relationship. Just saying, that is a personal opinion, not guidance. So focusing on friendships, Again, I feel like if you are doubting, leaning on friends and family to help you through some of the doubts can be a really good thing for you as well. But this is a very good time for growth with connections and family. So like I stated in the beginning, how February readings often do circle around relationships, I would say this is a very good time for you for connections and growth within your relationships. I'm actually going to read your reading very differently because I feel like these four here need to be read, so I'm not flowing, I'm actually bunching. I do read intuitively, so sometimes it just is read how it's read. Seek balance, overwhelm, so I do want to counteract that. Your friendships and talking may help you to overcome overwhelm. So when things come a little bit too burdensome for yourself, I do feel like naturally with this lunar strength one, that naturally you find your strength in keeping things to yourself. I don't think that that is the best guidance for you during this time. I feel like if it's overbearing for you, it needs to get out of you. It's like of anything, if there's too much in something and the pressure is so much, it explodes. You don't want to get to that point. We don't need that overwhelming sadness to take over, right? And I'm not saying that you're going to be feeling overwhelming sadness. It's just an expression. But what I feel is like lean on others and people you trust. That's what they're there for. It's like you trust them, right? So why wouldn't you let them in? And I do feel that's very beneficial during this time. Focusing on friendships, letting people in really does expand our connections greater because we can't trust somebody to the full capacity if they're not being real and not letting us in and sharing in their experiences too. So it goes both ways. Express your heart, story keeper. Definitely you're meant to be talking this month. Get that communication up. Yeah. I feel like really what could be highly beneficial for you is to have like speaking to partners for starters. If you are expanding on the relationship, further commitment, or even just getting into a relationship, I would say that it's about connecting and being authentic, showing them who you actually are. Now, what does that do? I'm so scared. What if it scares them away? Exactly. If it scares them away, they're not your person. And I think understanding that on the deepest of levels is when we understand that we're not meant to fake it in relationships and in friendships. We are meant to be authentic because we want to, depends what you want to be surrounded with, but let's just say that you want to have authentic connections. How do we do that? It's by being real and letting people in. And I do feel like that is really beneficial to you during this time. You are being told to talk and share your story, which I guess if you are on a public platform, I feel like sharing your story, what's sort of coming through now is potentially with the secrets that I was getting from the first. Maybe you have kept yourself hidden away for some time or kept something a secret. Maybe you felt you couldn't share what you've been through. Now is a very good time for you to do just that. And the crossing energy being the past, being sadness or grievances, I would say that you maybe potentially held that to yourself for some time for that reason, because it's hard and there comes with grievances with sharing. I feel like you are strong enough now to start talking and sharing your experience, and I do think that the world needs a lot. I know there's a lot of people like, oh, you don't have to share everything with the internet. No, you don't. But if that is your only path of talking and sharing through the stuff, that's beneficial. Even if it helps one little girl, little boy realize their truth, or say they've been through a similar situation and they can look at someone else who's been through what they have, that can save a life. So ignore the ones that are like, don't share everything. Just because you haven't been through anything, you don't want to hear someone else that has, don't listen. That's my advice to those people. Otherwise, share your life, because if you, like, just think, if really, let's say you followed one person's life and they were going through something so much that if you just had a conversation with them, you knew you could save their life, you would take it, right? So that is what sharing experiences does. Because sometimes even the most mundane of things, like bullying in school, everybody goes through it, and sometimes that ends people's lives by going through that, because they think they're alone, they can't take it anymore, it is overbearing, it's overwhelming. It might not even be that bad to some people, but to that person it is. and someone else sharing that they've been through it and how they coped or what they overcame can be literally the key to saving that person. And that is on a very, basic way of saying it. There's lots of different levels to that and different styles. Like even some people can't take living through things that other people can, and that is perfectly okay. But you sharing your story can really help the people that struggle more. Or it helps you. Doesn't matter. The whole point is share your stories, share your secrets to people that you can trust, or again, influence. But I feel this is a good time for connection for you. So I would advise that, open up those petals. You're about to bloom. We go on to the next part. We have step up and passion. This card gives me passion, right? Look at it. So it does take the light away from my face when I show you the cards, but you can see the card. It just screams passion, stepping into your own and doing what you need to do. I'm not going to give the guidance I have previously with this. It's not coming through for you. I feel like it's time for you again to take action. This is saying the crossing energy is I will watch over you, so you are protected in your endeavors. I do feel like you need to open up. Something needs to come out of you. And I think it's time to face your fears. I think that's what it's screaming at me for. I hope you didn't hear that, but my son has a light that connects to Bluetooth, so you can play like sound for it on the radio on your iPads or whatever, and it keeps going off saying Bluetooth connected. So ignore that if you hear that. The delicate fairy and her ferret is change is natural, good, and yes, it can hurt, right? I do feel like there's fears here. So you're protected through these changes, but don't expect things to change and there not be some kind of pain that comes with it. For example, everything, I always say this in terms of when we look at very public chaos that happens, right? We can look at the pandemic, right? So all of a sudden something very bad happens. Is everything bad for the long term? No. That channels a chain reaction towards positive changes. Changes in laws were made, like even in the way that shops worked, social distancing, people's awareness on being and hygiene. Lots of positives came from a very big negative. So often when we change something dramatic in our life, like I'm going to use coming out the closet, so in the LGBTQ community and all the other letters, coming out the closet can be monumental to losing friendships, losing family, and it can cause a lot of pain and heartache. What is the positives that come from this? So much. You can love freely. You embrace the people that actually appreciate you. The people who do love you unconditionally and not that conditional love. It drops away people that hate you for living authentically, hate for other people loving who they want to love. It releases those people from your existence so that you are surrounded by support, not limiting, right? So even though there is pain there through that kind of experience, there's also the joy and the favorable outcome and all of that good stuff. So I kind of think that you need to realize that what you fear might not be as catastrophic as you believe, and it's not to say that it won't hurt your feelings or that you might struggle a little bit in there, but it's towards the good stuff. So good change, it's natural, but yes, it can hurt. Interesting. So again, I will watch over you means you are guarded and protected during this time, which means your spirit team is supporting you, but I also feel that you have great support around you in terms of friendships and people as well, and I think you're a good character of who those people are. So embrace your shadow. This is coming up a lot for February, so it's about accepting you as you are as a whole. To me, the shadows, when we're doing our shadow work, it's often parts of ourselves that we either perceive as weaknesses or negative sides of ourselves that we try and shove aside, that we don't show in a public image, right? For example, let me find something. For example, being perceived as lazy. So often, when you're quite introverted, you might need a lot more downtime, especially if you're neurospicy. You need that downtime. However, you're often told that that's lazy. What, you just go home and lay down for an hour, like for several hours all night? Like, that's so lazy. No, it isn't. It's what you need to refuel, to recharge, to feel at peace with yourself. You're an adult. I said this for Leo. If you've got Leo, go over there and check out that stuff if that's in your chart as well. or a lot of big Leo influences, because it's the same energy of you are an adult, you decide how is best to live your life, and only you know how you function at your full capacity, and the way to success is by embracing exactly who you are, accepting the acceptance of who you are and how you experience the world, because what works for one person does not work for another. And if relaxing is your thing, that's not being lazy. It's actually being very productive. Resting is a productive thing to do if that is what is essential to your growth, to your energy, to your healing. And this is what I feel with this. It's accepting the things that you need and not putting negative connotations to them. So whatever it is that you're putting out into the world, expect that this is what you need, but it's a part of who you are, and it's a very good thing. Whether it's perceived as bad or not from others or yourself, it is actually a good thing because it is part of your makeup, part of who you are. And I know that's down there, so I don't need to read that with that. I definitely feel like you are overcoming something. I'm going to leave that there. It touches on these cards too. You're overcoming something. I actually feel like I want to be proud of you, Virgo. So I feel like this is a great time for you to be very proud of yourself. And I think that acceptance of something within you is very key to this month for you. So I'm going to leave that wolf I'm watching over you onto this card that I'm about to read. But this section over here needs to be read together. You've got 3 separate sections that I feel need to be read in this way. This is very different how I've read everybody else's so far, so bear with me. Face your fear, passion and power. So yeah, you are doing something. Now, face your fear, to me, this card does resonate with the strength card, which is, again, viewing the softness of yourself as a superpower. So you don't have to always be very in your face. If you feel as though you are a more subtle person, being bold for you is literally living authentically in your space, which means, again, I do want to say, and I feel like it's just the most obvious kind of way of explaining this energy, especially as we touched up here, but again, coming out as gay is such a brave thing to do, but you don't have to come out. You are that. It's just who you are. You don't have to publicly go, hey, I'm loud and proud, because not everyone is loud and proud. Many people are just proud. They're just existing their life in their proudness. So I do think that there are so many levels of being authentic, and it doesn't have to be a public announcement. Like, not everyone publicly announces that they're every single life goal, right? And that's okay to be in that essence, but it's knowing that your strength is just living authentically, is just existing in that way. I do feel like everyone should be proud enough within their inner circles, like the people you have close enough, parents, family, those people should be fully accepting of who you are if they expect to stay in your life. And I think that you should never hide yourself from those people if you do want deep connections and living authentically in your success, because I think that stops you from growth personally when you have to hide away a large aspect of yourself in order to feel accepted in your own circles. I feel like that is like a spanner in the works. It's going to stop the cogs from turning and things going on a very natural way, if you know what I mean. Like, I hope that makes sense. A crossing energy with this is, let me turn it around because I can't read this word, and I'm sorry if I say this wrong. I'm going to say, I feel like it's Quetzalcoatl, and the Priestess of Time. I can't read that. I'm sorry. It's not my capability. She is, the time has come, time to act is now. So you are being asked to take a step forward, to have faith and to trust, face the fears that you have. In terms of up here, I mentioned maybe moving or moving in with a partner and things like that. If you are making a move or traveling or making a big decision to make a big change, this is saying now is the time. You are protected, you're being watched over, because that energy crosses onto this card as well, and this crossing energy of this is the time. So now is the time for you to step up and start making decisions and really taking action. I did say we're following the lunar cycle, so we are planning and then we are taking action. Planning is an action, so again, don't beat yourself up if you are a little bit slow to the mark, because you're working at your pace, not anybody else's. We have a lot of crossing energy here, so I'm going to actually tell you the crossing energy beforehand, and then we will kind of delve into that with the cards. We have Deep Dark Sea Mermaid. She is find solutions in the unknown places in the darkness. Again, we're touching on the darkness. I think to me this is very much as in what you perceive as something more negative in your life, like as weaknesses. For example, like emotions. Some people find emotions to be inconvenience and see it as a weakness. That is the biggest strength, because again, the fact that so many people fear showing an emotion or being emotional shows you just that being able to do that is a strength. So again, finding the solutions in those things that potentially more you've shunned and shed away before, hid away. If you are sharing your stories because you've been through something, that's exactly that. It's saying that that's where your strength lies, is in the things that you've hidden before. I will mention this, but I feel like it's not really need to be talked about so much at the minute. Rediscover your individuality and become the dragon. I'm not going to read more than that just yet. I just want that to be said, that is an energy we're working with deeply, like the hidden behind the scenes, what we're working with. You in this is face your fear, solar strength. You've got two literal strength cards right next to each other. And set boundaries. Right, let's get talking. So the solar strength is solar magic. So again, shining the light on the dark seems to be a big theme for you, Virgo, which means bringing things into the light, stopping hiding things. I do feel like this is just the key, bring things to the surface. These are both movement cards, so again, passion cards, fire cards, allowing ourselves to take action, to get movement going. So I would say anything that is decision making, that is going to move you in a direction that supports revealing something. Set boundaries. Now, the setting boundaries side of this to me is keeping yourself, I want to say protected, but that's not what I mean. It's like keeping yourself respectful of the self. So when we're revealing a truth, I'm going to do it this way. For example, when we are telling our story, we have to have boundaries that this is me sharing my side of the story. So anybody else's version is not relevant in this, because I'm sharing how I experienced the experience, not how the other person did. I struggle to do that because I look at things so objectively that I bring in other people's feelings into it, but that's because that is how I experience it. I experience stuff so objectively that I experience it for the other freaking person, and it really drives me insane, because I'm like, feel what you need to feel. Stop feeling what they're feeling. Stop worrying about what they're doing. And it is really hard for me, but that's the point. That's me not having boundaries there. So again, if you are sharing on a public platform, you have to cut out the noise and not allow the opinions of others, because other people have opinions on things that they know nothing about. They have opinions on things that they hear, that they see, without having ever experienced anything about it, simply because, today they want an opinion, or they don't like the way that you look, or they're like, I've been through something the same, but I was on the other side of that, so I actually believe the other person because, I'm triggered by my own trauma. So we have to realize our boundaries is we can't, even though we're sharing, we don't have to take in everything that other people have to offer in regards to that, because you are the one sharing. The only thing that you should have coming in, which is your boundaries, the thing that you allow in is the respect that comes to you in terms of guidance that might help you, people's opinions who matter, like friends, loved ones. They're the ones, that's the boundary you're setting. You're not going to allow in the energy of other people with opinions who you don't even care about, who don't matter. And I think that that's something that's very, 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 very important these days, is that we realize that actually the opinions of the people who live in a totally different country don't matter so much as the ones of us in this country, or in this situation, or in my immediate place. You know what I mean? Like that, they're the people that can influence a decision on things. So we need to be clear on our boundaries of not allowing the noise to be causing us harm when it's just that noise. So yeah, firm boundaries, and respect for the self. And again, if there's a reaction that comes from someone close, it's you having the boundaries of being like, okay, I understand that this has impacted you in this way, but you need to give me the respect of that I've been open and honest with you. This was really hard for me, and now you're being disrespectful towards me, so I'm just going to leave you alone. that's a boundary. If they choose to come to you from a place of respect where they calm down and start speaking to you on an even level, that is respectful and you can be open to discussion. Otherwise, close that discussion. Boundaries are crossed. They don't deserve your time during that moment. And that really is a strength. So realize that you have that as something you can use. Now, we're going to touch on this one. Rediscover your individuality and become a dragon, mermaid in a koi pond. I do feel like this is your time to really essentially showcase who you are in your life, whether it is literally just by being authentically living yourself and going about your day in the way that you wish to. It's now time for you to do that from a space that you actually want to live, rather than from a space of fear that feels as though you have to have a pretense or hide an aspect of something in order for you to function. It's now for you to come into your own and discover the way that you move that is authentic. Yeah, that's what that's giving for me. And I do feel this again, behind this whole thing is this fears of insecurity and that level of self-protection. I do feel like it's time for you to let down those shields in a way where you are shielded from the energy of others, but you're not keeping the world shut away from knowing you, or of you be really experiencing from that authentic level. Because potentially, if there's aspects of yourself you've kept hidden or secret, you've not experienced the world from the place where you get to be free, you get to respect yourself before respecting others. And I do think that is naturally quite hard, especially when we grow up and leave home from being young, because we are taught early on to respect our elders and our authorities and our parents, that when we come out into the world we forget that all of a sudden we are the authority, we're the adult, we deserve the ultimate respect from ourselves before the respect of others, really. And I truly believe that. And yeah, it's now the time for you to do just that for yourself. So I look forward to seeing how this pans out for you, Virgo, because I'm actually kind of excited. It feels very revealing, and I love seeing things revealed, you know. Anyway, thank you for being here. I hope this is helpful for you, Virgo. Please subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to sharing this year with you from month to month, week to week. So thank you, guys.